type of player, yeah. But whereas Alonso would be involved for the whole 90 minutes, when the right back has the ball, he's in trouble. Who's there? Alonso. Left back, Alonso. Aquilani's not like that. Aquilani flits in and out, goes hiding, does things. Aquilani will score goals that in 20 years' time you'll be talking about, because he does have that in his locker.
Not from the sideline, he won't.
No, well that's another thing, isn't it? He's injured again now. Can he what?
Aquilani, can he have a pass? Can he be a productive player?
Can he be a productive player, Aquilani? Certainly sees a pass. The British game and the pace and the physical strength worries me. It does worry me.
Same with Lucas.
Yeah, no, he's not big and strong enough, is he? Aquilani can play. You know? Will he ever?
It seems to me.
It comes sometimes. If Aquilani wants to do it, I think he'll do it.
It seems to me when he's playing though, the Gerrard and all that, they don't want to pass the ball though.
No.
It's so obvious, you know.
The only thing I will say though is that, as much as we go, why is Aquilani not playing? And the story is that the reason he's not playing is him. He's never ready.
Really, yeah? His father came out in the press last week and said that he's fit, he's ready to go.
Yeah.
And he came out himself and said, yeah, I'm ready to go.
And he's never ready.
Really? Wow.
He's yellow.
Never ready.
Well, what are we buying?
That's no good, hey. He's got
That's
to
the same
$20
Why did we buy? I thought it was a panic buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a panic buy.
Who would you identify, Jan, as a player who could take us forward? If we were going to take the next step and take the Premier League, if you had one choice.
If I had one
Key
choice,
player, who would you?
if I had one choice and you'd never get him, I would buy Iniesta at Barcelona.
Yeah. Jan Molby.
Iniesta, in my book, is the most influential player in the world.
Yeah, but realistically.
No, I know.
But
Realistic, we're not going to get it. But I tell you what, instead of paying, and believe me, we haven't paid 20 million for Aquilani. We paid more. I would have Scott Parker from West Ham.
Yeah, you should have signed him from Charlton.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, Scott Parker is.
What
Scott
are
Parker.
we doing, Billy?
Well, now we're reaching the Eric Meyer. To be fair, can I just say about Sean Dundee? And Roy admitted this to me 2 weeks ago. Roy went, he signed him a recommendation. He said, I'd never seen him play. And he said, when he turned up, I went, oh my God. So, at least he's honest, Roy. He went, oh, fuck.
That's like when Stevie said when he seen Salif Jawa training. Stevie says in his book, Jesus Christ, I couldn't believe it when I seen him.
Well, you know, it was generally like that. In the days, it's well documented when we used to play. We used to warm up, play 3 games of 5-a-side, do a bit of sprints and then go back in. And within 2 minutes of playing the 5-a-side, you know where the players were playing. Because it was brutal, you know, everybody could play. It'd be 1-2 touch, and within 2 minutes you go, oh. But it wasn't very often, you know, people like Nicky Tanner and whatever, but apart from that, I didn't.
Jan, 2 questions. What was your thoughts on that game in Mexico in '86 against Uruguay when the guy got sent off in the first minute? I remember. And second question: what was it like to play against with Kenny Dalglish?
The first question is about the '86 World Cup. Denmark. It was the first time we ever qualified for the World Cup. And we were drawn in a group of death. South American champions Uruguay, West Germany, and Scotland and us. And at that time, Scotland, you know, Hansen, Dalglish, they were a great side. We won all 3 games, and we generally thought we were going to win the World Cup. We were that good. But we played, then we were in Spain. But we played Uruguay, we beat them 6-1, which is still one of those iconic World Cup games, isn't it? But we absolutely ripped them apart. They had immense sense off, which was pretty much par for the course, and that's the way they went about things in those days. But it was fantastic. And then to come to Liverpool in '84, and at that time, as I said before, I was on trial and I played a game in Ireland. I actually made my debut in a red shirt in Ireland against Home Farm. And that night we stayed in Dublin. Actually, at Wembley on a Saturday in the Charity Shield against Everton. We lost 1-0. That day, Bruce Grobler. Do you remember Bruce Grobler scored an own goal in the Charity Shield in '84?
Yeah, it was a back header.
Yeah. And then we've flown to Ireland to play against Home Farm. And when we got to the airport, Heathrow Airport to fly to Dublin, as you checked in and you walk and you see all the lads in a bar on top, and I walked up and it was the first time I'd ever seen Guinness. The lads had ordered 24 pints of Guinness, you know. When it's Guinness is what they drink in Ireland. You can't go to Ireland, you've got to drink Guinness. But I just put it to my lips. I've never touched it since. I mean, Guinness and mushy peas. But I actually shared a room with Kenny that night in Dublin. I think it was part of, you know, to try and get me to sign. Now by that time they'd made the mind up to try to sign me, so I got to share with the King, you know, which was of course great. But to play with him,
Was the King waving up at you?
yeah, you have these. It's not very often as footballers, because as much as you guys will players and you go wow, well, it's not quite like that when you're a player. You all feel that we're at the same level, you know. But there just is every now and again, isn't it? One or two personalities that are different, you know. And Kenny was like that, and you used to see that with the opposition. You know, the opposition was just totally in awe, and that doesn't happen very often. You know? Yeah. So to play with Kenny was incredible. And I don't know whether he actually did his playing career. I know he'd done the majority of things he wanted to do before he became player manager, but I still think he probably had another 2 or 3 years. And once you become player manager, your priorities change, don't they?
Right.
He never played as many games as he maybe should have done. But of course, when he put himself back in 85, 86 for the last 12 games, of which we won 11 and drew 1, it was a master stroke, wasn't it?
You think he might come to manage him?
Do I think he might manage
Against?
He's out of the game a long time.
He is out of the game. I don't think it's the right move. I think it'll be a step backwards. But I don't think it's unthinkable. If anything happens between now and the end of the season,
Do you think anything will happen?
no, I don't. Yeah. I just don't think that when the board or whoever it is meeting, I think they talk about potential new stadium, blah blah blah. I don't think.
The Saudis are going to invest 124 million.
Yeah, the problem that everybody's got, nobody wants to invest in the club at the moment, because they're aware of A, the debt that we're in, B, what it'll take to buy the football club, and the first thing you have to do is spend another 400 million building a new stadium. So you're talking $1 billion, and that $1 billion won't give you a better team. You'll have to spend that $1 billion before you look at it to try and improve the team. So people are going to be reluctant, aren't they? I mean, I find it incredible that those guys went to Manchester City.
What do you think about Manchester City and all those big purchases?
I have one problem with Manchester City, and what's happening is surreal. You know,
They're killing the
you look at other things, and when the Icelandic guys took over West Ham, or I'm sure you've heard of the story about the people who took over Notts County and whatever. You know, this Man City thing is surreal. They are there to do this, and if they finish in the top 4 this year, ahead of either Arsenal or Manchester United, there is no way. If Manchester City finishes in the top 4 this season, there is no way anyone will dislodge them out of that top 4 for the next 20 years. It'll have to be somebody else. Once Manchester City becomes a top 4 club, Champions League, then every player will be, so once they finish in that top 4, you'll never move them again. You have this season.
It's like Chelsea.
We'll never get them out. Sorry.
World Cup. Who shows, who places, who wins, and should have Ireland had another go at it?
I mean, the Irish thing has been discussed to death. I think there's only 3 teams who can win the World Cup. Spain, Brazil and England. Denmark, to be fair, Denmark, we won the toughest European qualifying group with Sweden, Hungary and Portugal, but believe me, we're not a good team. Don't kid yourselves. Argentina, Holland, Germany, 3 teams of those. You know, John Barnes tells me Brazil are bankers. I mean, they don't play Brazilian anymore. You know, they play a different game. Tough outfit, play on the counter-attack, he said, but as far as he's concerned. But I still think that the Spanish boys have got too much ability. Got too many good players.
What about the Robbie Keane saga, Jan?
Robbie Keane, just to discuss him, we'll finish in a minute because I know there's snowball fights.
But
Robbie Keane, for the people who don't know, the day before we signed Robbie Keane, Rafa Benitez tried to pull out of the deal, and that's when the trouble started. He told Rick Parry, who was the chief executive at the time, he said, I want out of this deal. He said, it's not who I want. And I actually happen to think that we should never balk Robbie Keane, not because Robbie Keane isn't a good player, but because Robbie Keane plays in Steven Gerrard's position, so he was never going to play with him. So it was pointless exercise. But then the day before to try and pull out the deal, when we'd already signed the financial papers, which